Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk Relationship. How are you all? I am Stefania Pulio from the Gentleman's Square, and I am so excited to be here. As always, I'm always excited, but today even more so because we are going to be talking about relationships with creatives. That's right. Are you in a relationship with a creative, or are you possibly a creative in love and, you know, don't even know that you're creative, but somehow, somewhere, you don't kind of feel like you're fitting in, or people don't kind of see you in a certain way? Well, today we're going to have an amazing guest on by the name of Lawrence Murray. Yes, Lawrence is from New York, all the way from New York. And he is a creative. Absolutely. He's an artist, a poet. He's an actor, and he's done amazing things. And he's also an entrepreneur. But I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to talk about relationships, creatives mixing together. So let's bring on Lawrence Murray. Hello,
Hello.
Lawrence. How
Hello.
are
How you doing
you?
today?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
So good to be here. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be on this platform right now. Definitely.
Yes, I'm so grateful. Thanks for making time. I know you're really busy and you got a lot going on at the moment, but yeah, we have lots to talk about. And I
Yeah.
just, I've known you for a while now, and we have so much in common. But let's allow you to share a little bit with the audience as
Yes.
to your creative side, and how you're creative, and what does creative really mean, because I know you coach creatives now because of your whole journey of being a creative. So
Yes.
yeah, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. New York City, and I started off as a singer first. I became a songwriter, and then from there on, I started selling art because I wanted to improve upon my songwriting skills. So I started selling art and everything like that in New York City, doing shows, doing all those different things, to the point that I actually became an actual creative as far as being a painter and everything like that. So I became a painter, and it's a full array, and it's going through the whole journey of being an entrepreneur, going to the ups and downs. Then I actually became an actual mentor, a business mentor, and now I coach creatives how to be more business oriented. So that's pretty much my story right there.
Yeah, that's what you're doing now. But let's go back a little bit, okay, to
Yeah. Yes.
way back to where you first started your journey, because I know a little bit
Yes.
about your life where you actually started in the streets, right? So you were
Yes.
writing poetry, or were you painting? I can't remember.
Yes.
You're doing something artistic, but in the streets of New York, right?
Yes. It's born in Herald Square, as I would say, artistically born in Herald Square, New York City, 34th Street, by 42nd Avenue, Fashion Avenue. And basically, what happened is that when I was at the beginning, when I was just being an entrepreneur and just looking at different ways to be more creative, have more creative outlets, I started vending in the streets of New York City. That gave really my hard knocks of being able to just really communicate a different message. And when I got out there first, I was doing my poetry, and then I started selling the artwork with the poetry. So therefore, like the artistic creation, and I started a whole mobile gallery with the art and the poetry and just a creative expression. And that led to the acting, and I got into the acting, got into the modeling. So, but it all originated from 34th Street. So I have a book coming out called Born in Herald Square. No, the Revolution of Lawrence Murray. But 34th Street, Streets of Hard Knocks. That's where I started from. Definitely.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's fantastic. So we have a few people here to acknowledge. First of all, we have Zanetta. Hello, Bella. Hello, Zanetta. How are you? And she says also, hello, Laurence. Yes,
Yes.
another creative here who's listening. But the reason,
Yes.
we're talking about creatives, and I know this is a relationship, platform, and we talk about everything that's under the umbrella of relationships. And
Yes.
being a creative myself, I'm not a poet writer. I don't write poetry, but
Yes.
I do write and I'm an artist. You know that I do quite
Yeah.
a lot of painting, right? Even though I haven't shown a lot of my stuff, which I know you said, got to get it out there, got to get it out there.
Very
But
talented. He's holding
yes,
back.
thank you, Laurence. You are very talented too. But what I really wanted to bring into our conversation today, and as you know, is the relationship that us creatives have, and how we relate with others and how others relate with us. And as I said, we've got a lot of gifts, okay? And I'm not blowing
Yes.
our own trumpets here, right? I'll speak for myself, but I know, as artists, we're sensitive, we're intuitive, we're aesthetically aware of everything. We can write
Yeah.
poetry, just by looking at a morning coffee cup, and just
Yeah.
let those words roll out, or, doodle on a piece of paper, and all of a sudden you've got this beautiful, masterpiece of, creation of colors and highs and lows of shading, with the using a monotone, pen or pencil, whatever. So we're so extreme. Would you agree,
Yeah.
Laurence, in everything that we
Yeah.
do? We're very passionate, and we throw ourselves in, and we can be, I speak for myself, I don't know about you, but we can be, I won't say difficult, but challenging to live with. We can be
Yeah.
misunderstood. We love so hard, but
Right.
somehow it's misconstrued along the way. What do you want to share about that? Because I know, this all ties in with our passion of arts, and whether you're an artist by, profession, or just a hobby, or in any
Yes.
aspect.
Yes. Well, the thing about it is, definitely as a creator, we're a whole nother beast. And I think what happens when people get a relationship with get a relationship with creatives, they can't, they got to be able to approach it with a more open mind right there. And if they approach it the same type of way, then that's where the challenges really comes into play right there. So for example, if there's a relationship between, like, say, two people work 9 to 5, then that's pretty much how their life is going to kind of come together, because it's like they have pretty much the same type of pathway as far as being professionals, everything like that. But say you got a person who's a 9 to 5 person, you got a person who's a creative, or a person who's an entrepreneur. That's a whole nother different type of thing right there. And what happened, creatives has a different type of love language right there. And what happens if the person that they're involved with doesn't understand that, then it becomes more difficult, more challenging though. But the beautiful thing about it is that once you start to understand it, and get to understand how they think and how they operate, their mind frame, then it can be a beautiful relationship, because you have to understand it's that passion they may have. You know what I'm saying? And what happened, I think, with that creator, get with that person who can understand their passion, now they can pour that passion into that relationship. But the thing about it is that they must come on the ground where they kind of understand each other though.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, you touched on a few things there, a few little, highlights of passion, and really
Yes.
explosive. And so let's break it up here, because we have,
Yeah.
creatives in a business environment, okay?
Yes.
Then we have
Yeah.
the same creative in a their own personal,
Yes.
relationships, whether it be families or intimate relationships, whatever. And then you have, the creatives just being creatives, just in any
Right.
sort of situation, even with
Right.
children, because I know you have 3 children. I'm not sure you
Yeah.
have three.
Yeah.
two-
Yes.
Oh, surely
All
there's some
creative.
creatives, right? I'm sure
Yes.
they are, right?
Creative.
Right.
Yeah.
So how would you say, for example, someone is in a relationship
Yes.
with a creative, right?
Yeah.
And they've
Yes.
never had a relationship with a creative, and they're thinking, oh wow, this person is just crazy, they're too much, they're too eccentric, they're
Yeah.
too whatever. Yeah, there's something, but they're too much in something, right? Or all of the
Yes.
above.
Yes.
How would you, what would you say to people, like, how would you handle creatives? Like,
Yes. Well, that's a very interesting question, and this is the reason why we are here to discuss this
yes.
matter. Well, as you get deeper into it, the first thing is that if a person was dealing with a creative and they never dealt with a creative in a relationship, then automatically they have to change around the perspective, because what happened, the same things they may expect for someone else, that you may not get with the creative. I give you an example. With a creative who spends so much time on the craft, it could be singing, dancing, acting, whatever it may be, they spend a lot of passionate hours. And one way that a creative can show love is giving that person time. So what happened by giving that person time, that's a love language that a creative can show the person that they love. But a person who's not used to that, or used to different other things, may not take it the same type of way. They be like, you know what, you give me time, but I got time for the last person I was dealing with right there. So what happened is that their perspective, should be able to change a little bit to be used to that creative and the different things that they do. So for example, the creative can be, say, a singer or whatever, and they have to spend a lot of time rehearsing, and what happened, another person would be like, you know what, you're not spending enough time with me. Whereas they don't understand that creative it's like that creativity is like oxygen, and you gotta allow that creative to have that oxygen to breathe, because once they have that oxygen to breathe, then they can come back and give you more into the relationship. But it's all about the understanding and breaking everything down. And then what you can do is look at the creative, say, you know what, the creative is very passionate. So what happened is that, you get into that relationship, that passion can be transferred to the actual relationship, but the person got to be patient. It's a lot of different things that goes into play right there, though. That's all like a personal type of way as far as like dealing with a creative. Now, if you go a step further, dealing with a creative on a business level, that's a whole different type of thing right there. Because by you understanding a creative mind frame, and understanding and listening to them and how they operate, that's why we can seem eccentric, because the way we look at the world and the way a creative look at the world is different. For example, if you're an artist and I'm gonna draw your portrait, when I look into your face, I look into your eyes, I look into your skin tone, I'm looking at all those different things to capture your portraits. I have to capture all the years, all the stress, all those different things that I have to look into. So automatically, the way I look at a person, or the way a creator look at a person, is totally different. So now, if you take that right there and deal with a relationship, they can like that relationship a whole different type of way, all at the same time. But it's all about that communication. And what happens, depending on the type of creative you're dealing with, it can be a very beautiful thing, because they can explain a different type of way. For example, a person might be a poet, but they may explain it even better in their poetry, or you might be the inspiration for a book, or inspiration for a song. So all these things that can be very, very beautiful, but it's all about the patience and understanding what you're involved with. So the person who's not a creative got to look at the creative and understand the viewpoint of the creative, and then therefore now they can assess it a different type of way, and not going in with a preconceived idea of how they should have the relationship.
Yes. Wow. I love that. That is so true. And I just love the way you said you've got to give them oxygen.
Yes,
I think
creative
that's so
oxygen. Yes,
true, right?
yes,
Because, the thing is, right, and this is what I found as creatives, people are drawn to us, right? We emanate this
yes,
energy, we emanate this light, we exude all this, even though we
yes,
probably give it away too much sometimes, but we exude all this. So obviously people gravitate to us and they're
yes,
drawn to our energy. So then what happens is, as creatives, we can sometimes feel claustrophobic. We feel like we're being
yes,
like put in a cage because, or these others, people that are around us, our loved ones or whoever at work,
yes,
they're feeling quite needy because they're drawn to that light, they're drawn to that energy,
yes,
and it can really make us feel like we don't have oxygen. You're absolutely right. So you've really got
yes,
to know to give them space, because here they are, they need this freedom of space in their spirit to be expressing and passionate, but they also need it for their downtime. And I
yes.
know we need to recharge. So when we recharge, we don't necessarily recharge with others. We still need that downtime on our own to fill our own cups, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. It's a funny thing, because it's almost like we need the alone time to be able to recharge or do what we got to do. Then we need the time together. So it's different type of time zones, everything like that. So that's why that communication comes in is very important, with the communication of even the way the creator communicate to the person who's not a creative. You know, but
Mm,
the thing about it, how I look at it, a lot of people are creatives and don't know. For example, you
yeah.
might have a person who might have been, because if you think about it, as kids, we're all artistic because we want to, we have class and, they may say draw something or do something like that. So it may be creative. And what happened, that could have been a path for some people. But what happened, what they do, they might not have gone through that path because it's not a viable career. For example, you could grow up with a family of doctors, but you could have been an artist your whole life. But they say, you know what? I don't think you should go to art school. I think you should go get your doctorate like everybody else. So therefore, now they're working that 9 to 5 and they're working those different things like that as a doctor or what they may be doing as a professional. But deep down inside, they always have that creativity, that creative child that still exists inside them right there. So
Mm.
a lot of times they could be, somewhat kind of envious sometimes, or all these different emotions that can come about with them. But it's all about, because it's excitement, it's exciting to deal with creatives, but at the same time, it's that roller coaster ride. But as in life, that's what it is.
Exactly, exactly. So while we're on that topic of, someone that, because we're all creatives, let's face it, that
Yeah,
we've all got a
I
creative seed in us, right?
different level.
And as you said, sometimes we may take a path in life or a career path where
Yes,
we're not exuding, we're not basking in that passion of creativity simply because, culturally our parents or,
yes,
we had to follow our parents' footsteps. We have to become a doctor or a lawyer because,
yes,
and yet that creativity is bursting inside. So when we said you could be a creative and you don't know it, so you could be a frustrated creative. You're actually not in in alignment with that, or you're not tapping into that to actually express it, which then can overflow into a relationship. Because then if you
yes,
are in a relationship with a creative, like you said, you can become somewhat frustrated, possibly
yes,
jealous of their time, of their freedom that they have, or the free spirit
yes,
that they exude. So,
yes,
how, particularly you, because you coach creatives, right,
yes,
Laurence?
yes,
What would you say to someone that is working like, a 9 to 5 in corporate America, in your case, or,
yes,
in an office here in, we don't call it corporate America, but in
yes,
Australia, they're working a 9 to 5 job. How do you deal with that pull, that tug that then, causes issues in our relationships?
Well, if you talk about a creative who's working a job, or you're talking about a creative who's dating a person or seeing a person who has a nine to
No,
five.
a creative who's like listening to this and says, well, I could be, oh, maybe I am a creative, and I'm not expressing my creativity,
Yes,
but I'm feeling
yes,
frustrated within myself. And, because we know when
yes,
you're, as a creative, when we're not being creative, what happens? We're not in flow with life, are we?
exactly,
So
exactly,
we be
exactly,
angry, sad, get depressed, take it out on
exactly,
others. Yeah.
exactly. I agree 1,000% because you definitely, we can call this the frustrated creative who's not able to express themselves, that's locked into a job. And what happens
Right.
if that situation? Because a lot of times, what can happen too is like, now you can take let's start like, you can take a creative who's been creative, right? But they haven't figured out a way how to sustain a lifestyle for their family or themselves, whatever. So they get the 9 to 5 job, and then what happened? That job may weigh them out so much that they're not able to express themselves creatively. So now they're doubly frustrated. They doubly frustrated from the fact, the first thing is that they're not being a creative or being a freedom, and then they're frustrated having a job that they probably do not want and not have enough time or put in the time to be able to do it. So what I would suggest to a creative in that type of situation is that what they should do is just look at the facts that they have. You know what? You have the 16 hours. So therefore, you have to weigh your schedule and be disciplined to understand that, use your job for what it is. That's what it is. You're there to get that consistent income and everything like that. But therefore, now you start to have a blueprint plan as far as like trying to be creative, have that time block for your creativity, understand that you need to have that time block and schedule that in your life right there. Now, if you want to exit your job, as far as exit your job as a 9 to 5, to be full-time creative, to have that freedom, because what happened a lot of time when you have that as a creative, we have freedom, and when you contain that freedom, that's where the frustration comes in. You're like, you know what? I used to have the whole day to be creative. Now I gotta go to work, prepare for work, do work, come back home, and I don't have that time element to be able to do it, and that frustration, it just boils inside right there. So what I say, you have to figure out a blueprint plan, and start investing your money to be able to make that transition if that's what you want. But that's a whole nother level right there. As far as like now, you have to start to become business oriented to be able to make that transition. And I think what happens, a lot of creatives are not being business minded, and that leads to a lot of frustration, of them not being able to be creative.
Mm, mm. So not being able to understand that, they can actually have that creativity flow into their business side of things to
Yes.
make that flow. But just say we're talking to someone that doesn't want to go into business, that, wants to tap into that creative side, or doesn't, because they're feeling all these things, and it could be because they're creatives and they don't know. They're feeling misunderstood. They don't feel like they fit in. They feel like, they see things in a different light, in a different perspective.
Right.
Like,
Right.
what would you say? Like, I guess find out where your passions are. It may be poetry, it may be art and design, it may be just listening to music, picking up an instrument and learning to play. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, it's like when we was kids, we was curious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot. You're very curious and you're open minded. And what happens sometimes we become adults, we stop being so curious and stop being so open minded. So the thing about it is that now we have a person who's trying to figure out that creative outlet, is that start going to different places. You might go to a jazz club, you might go to a concert, you might go to an art gallery. Just go out and to see things that excite you. You may go to an open mic. It's like, I really love comedy. You know what? I really think I could do comedy because people say I'm funny, and then, you may get on stage on a day or something like that. Or you may get on stage and do a poem that you may always had, or whatever you have, or you may go to a paint and sip where it's like you drink a little bit and then you paint and everything like that. So there's so many different outlets. It's all about just open up your mind and just exploring. And it's being curious to find out what really brings you joy. And I think if you continue on that path, you're gonna find it, because you can feel it inside. Like, I really feel that. I really love this right here. So that's the first thing I would suggest right there. Just explore and see what makes you happy. And then
Right.
and I guarantee you, once you start to find things that make you happy, it's gonna lead into your relationship.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So touching on that, Laurence, I know, being a creative yourself, how did you navigate through these, different types of relationships with, being different? Because, you did things obviously really different. People saw you differently. Unfortunately,
Well,
when you're different, you're judged and everything. How did you cope with it? How did you cope with the relationships in your life, even with your parents, siblings, your wife, or, past relationships? Because
yes.
it's not, I wouldn't say it's easy. There are challenges.
No, there's definitely challenges though. But see, the thing about it is that we look sometimes we look at one side of the equation, but there's another whole other side of the equation. And what
Mm,
happened, a side of the equation is when you get a lot of people coming at you, because they see the things that you're doing creatively. It could be anything. It could be from your modeling. It can be from entertaining. So you have all these different relations coming at you that can be sincere, could be it could be authentic, not authentic. It could be so many different type of ways right there though. But my whole thing is, like, I had so many different people coming at me so many different types of ways, is that it feels good to have the options and the opportunities. Now it's all about the discernment, everything like that. And the thing about it, the people who let you remain the creative that you are, and push you to keep being that creative, those are the people that's going to gravitate, that you can kind of allow in your life a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to other people who's that just want to see you for one particular reason. But the whole thing is that the other side of creativity, it draws, like you said, a lot of people, that charisma, because you're doing something that a lot of people want to do. Whatever you're doing, you may have a person who's very shy, but who sings, but can't get on stage because they're so shy. And then you on stage doing your thing, like, what, I like that. And that draws you to them right there, though. So it's a very interesting thing. And but like I said, it's a communication. And
yeah.
what I did before, I really used my creativity as a communication tool. And it
Yeah.
really brought me a lot of people, a lot of success, all types of relationships though. But it's been a very interesting voyage.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the way you say that you then used your creativity as a tool to communicate. And that is,
Yes.
and that's what relationships are all about, right? So, because
Yes.
sometimes, we're not all the sit down, communicative type people that have a full on conversation. We can
Yes.
communicate love through writing. We can write
Yes.
poetry to someone. We can write
Yes.
like a semi-novel, where you're just continuously writing chapters to someone. And, I remember I was dating a writer, and that's what he used to do. He used to write to me all the time. And I think, well, talk to me,
Yeah.
because I want to talk, because I'm a talker. And it used to kind of frustrate me. But then I understood that was definitely his way of, his creative language, because we
Right.
have the love languages, but then you have the creative love languages. People
Yes. Yes.
creatively speak and communicate in different ways. And
Yes.
he used to write and just leave me these sheets of paper handwritten. And yeah, it was pretty exciting until I adjusted to that and loved it, just appreciated him
Right.
for it, because that's just the way he was, and there was no way I'm going to
Right.
change him. I had to appreciate it to then feel more love, because I knew that was the way he communicated love. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
Ab-
there may be others that are singers or in artists, different ways. Definitely.
a- Absolutely. Absolutely. And I tell you this. uh, I tell you this much. When one thing that really I really loved about singing is just that was to me like the ultimate communication tool.
Really.
Singing, because when I first started singing years ago, I would definitely entertain my female guests with my singing. It doesn't matter
Mm.
if it was over the phone, doesn't matter where it was, live concerts for them, everything like that. So that communication tool was very, very powerful. And that's what I learned, how powerful creative communication can be, though. So you might have a person who, you got people who stutter but can sing or something like that, and that communicate that different way right there. So the thing about it, it's all about, as what you did, is all about the appreciation of the creative language that you're hearing or you seeing or whatever. But the thing about it, that's what makes it exciting, because it's different from the other type of language they may have. So you have to
Right.
understand that the love language is one thing, but people have to understand the creative language. And I think what happened is that if people understand that, like, you know what, your relationship is your creative or she's a creative, now your mind frame can be massaged a little bit differently to understand, to appreciate it. That's different right there. Because guess what? All that passion they have for whatever they're doing, and once they feel totally appreciated, that passion gets transferred to that person in that relationship. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because that passion is ongoing. And especially if you encourage that creativity, that creative, along with that creativity, and then that passion for that relationship, that's a lot of passion. And that's one thing that we have, a lot of passion.
Absolutely. And that's what I used to do. I was like, oh my God, that is just amazing. Like, and that's one of my love languages, is appreciating. So I would ooze
Yes.
appreciation. And he would just write even more and more and more. And
Yes.
you're right, because let's face it, we're these strong, confident personalities. But I know I wrote soft in the intro. We're
Yes.
sensitive. We're
Yes.
super sensitive. We're softies
Yes.
on the inside, yeah? And we feel it. We may not show the pain, we may come across
Yes.
like nothing bothers us.
But you know what? But the reality is that that's a superpower. Well, check this out,
Yeah.
right? You got creatives don't understand. You have to understand your superpower. Your superpower is that the sensitivity comes from feeling the things that's going on around you, to be able to regurgitate it in a creative way. You see what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like, if you take
yeah.
hip hop. Hip hop is sensitive to the environment, or the environment they may come from, and they regurgitate it back to the public what's going on. But if you have no sensitivity to the environment, you can't create it. You know what I'm saying? So all creatives got some sort of level of sensitivity to whatever situation they're dealing with. And that's
Mm,
part of the power that we have. You take out any kind of sensitivity to what you're dealing with, how can you come back and regurgitate it or express it? If you're an
yeah.
actor, you say, you know what? You look at a person's role, you have a sensitivity to that person's plight that they've been through. and you take that sensitivity of that character, you bring it to life. It can be a song right there. It can be writing. It can be dancing. It can be anything.
Painting.
It can be
Yeah.
painting. You know, you taking that right there because you have to feel it. See, once you
Mm.
feel it, you bring it in, and then you can bring it back out right there. So that's part of our
Yeah.
superpower.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, because that's exactly, when I look at my art over the years and the different styles and what I was painting, I was just
Yes.
rebirthing, regurgitating, like you said,
Yeah.
exactly what was going on in my life at the time. And yeah, it is our superpower, because when we talk about sensitivity in a creative, we're
Yes.
talking heightened sensitivity. We're not just talking just a
Exactly.
little sensitivity. We're
Exactly.
talking
Yes. Yes.
heightened
Yes.
sensitivity. So what
Absolutely.
anyone that's not so sensitive, say, they feel it, but it just like brushes off.
Yeah.
With a
Yes.
creative, it kind of vibrates right through our system, and it keeps
Absolutely.
vibrating for a while, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we have
Absolutely.
to release this, I guess, energy and this emotion, energy in motion, and
Absolutely.
express it, like you said, in any which artistic form. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Zanetta here is commenting. Thank you, Zanetta, for chiming in. She says, preach. Preach. Okay.
Yes, you definitely understand. You know what? I'm gonna name some different artists. You look at Michael Jackson, right? You look
Mhm.
at Marvin Gaye. You look at Basquiat. These are legends. These are. You look at Prince. These are legends. You know, like they're gonna be living forever. And the thing about it is that sometimes the most sensitive artists are the biggest legends. You think about Michael Jackson, because or Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye is one of my favorite singers of all time, though. You know, Basquiat is my favorite artist of all time. You know, as far as a painter. And the thing about it is that they are so. Somebody once said Basquiat is so sensitive to this world with everything that's going on. But it's like they're sensitive to the environment to be able to create these masterpieces. You know, a lot of times, or the comedians that go to different things, or say Richard Pryor, his life that he came out of, where he grew up and the way he just spoke about his life and everything like that. So it's all these different things, all these the greatness of these artists come from just regurgitating, being sensitive to their environment, to regurgitate what's going on in their life, and it's bringing it out to the public. So a lot of sometimes I say an artist's pain sometimes is the public's entertainment. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's the thing right there. But you know, you take away the artists, all the creativity. I mean, you take away the movies, all this entertainment that people love. If you take away art out the world, from everything from movies, music, all the things the Broadway, these
Yeah.
these are artists, that are creating, with that sensitivity. So therefore, that's why you have all these different foundations that really support the artists, to let them continue to be curious. They can let them just do what they got to do. Give them space. Give them space. That's why we have like artists in residence. Give that artist space to let them create, to let them be excited, to let them just paint the world and just give the world what they have inside, though. And that's what makes them very, 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 very happy. And we enjoy it because we go to the exhibition, we go to the movie premiere and everything like that to enjoy this artist's work. But that artist is very special. That creative is very special. And when you find a creative and you deal with that creative with that special relationship, if you understand that, then that's gonna make your life so much easier, because you're gonna feel different type of passion that you may not have felt with somebody else, because that artist has, like I keep saying, about that passion.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely. Fantastic. So Zanetta continues to say, what does she say here? She says, that's romantic handwritten notes. Yeah, I think she's referring to my
Yeah,
little thing there.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, Zanetta is also an artist. She's a singer, even
Okay.
though she laughs and doesn't believe so, but she's very good at
Yes.
singing. We just need to get her out there a little bit more. She's amazing, and also a
Beautiful.
writer. And I think she's written
Yes.
poetry as well. And
Yes.
her last bit, being labeled a freak crazy is the price of greatness. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Exactly. Guess what? You know what? It's like this right here. If everybody wore black shirts, this world would be boring. Everybody got black shirts on. It's almost, you can look at like this right here. You can look at this right here. The world got on black shirts, right? But we as creative got on white shirts. So people can look at us like, why do you think the way you think? You're weird? Or maybe it's the reverse. Maybe they are weird, or maybe they are crazy, maybe they are different type of ways right there. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the perspective that you have right there. But the thing about it is that if you take creatives out the world and not let them be creative, the world will be bland. You know, we even look at when they closed down, you know, they closed down America, they closed down the world and everything like that. They took away Broadway from New York City, and people was like, wow, you take away Broadway? That's wow, that's my night to go out to enjoy these creatives, you know. So the thing about it is that creatives are very, very special people. It just is all about understanding them and looking at them from the perspective. It's almost like if there was a book that was out that kind of explained, oh, are you in a relationship with a creative? Well, these are some of the things that you can look at, you know, to appreciate them. And the first thing is, do not look at them the same way. That's the first mistake. If you think you will have the same type of relationship as you have with somebody else who's not a creative at all, you know, then that's a whole different thing right there. So you just have to be more open-minded, you know, and just enjoy your ride. It's gonna be ups and downs though. But once you start to figure it out, you can enjoy the tremendous value that they have.
Yes, absolutely. And you know, you touched on a thing, you know, a little topic there where it says, where you said, you know, it is a ride. It's not a normal ride.
No, it's not.
Being
And that's
in
a
a
beautiful thing.
relationship with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You know, and that's why people, I think, are drawn to that excitement and that, you know, thrill,
yeah,
frustration,
yes, right,
pain, because it can be
yeah,
challenging and be quite painful at times as
yeah,
well. But
yes, yeah,
you know, you have to, I think, appreciate them for who they are. And I'd also add, don't try and change them above all things.
yeah,
Would you agree with that? Because, like, you know, that's the worst thing.
yes.
Try and cage them. Because
You can't
everybody
cage.
loves being with a creative, but then they have this thing that they want to, like, keep them and, like, keep them like in a cage, like a golden bird or something, or a golden cage, a bird in a golden cage.
Exactly. It's not going to work. It may work for a certain amount of time. It's not going to work because you have to understand that creative oxygen. You know, we breathe a whole different type of air. You know, and once that person understands that, is that don't cut off the air. Whatever you do, don't cut off the air. You can make suggestions. You know, you can you know, give different perspectives though, but just don't take it away though. You know,
Yeah.
and be prepared for it. You know, because you definitely you're gonna go through a roller coaster ride. Just be prepared.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing that I would probably bring up about a creative person is, I don't know whether you agree with this, but on average, they tend to be have a tendency to flirt more than the average person because of this creativity and this charisma in them, which doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything at all, right? You know what I mean? Like, it can be this flirting, but that's just part of their innate personality. It doesn't mean that they're going to run off with, you know, the next woman or the next man, you know, being a female or male.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
this is,
It's that. 100%. That is
I've
definitely
tapped on here
amazing.
because this is where the jealousy thing comes in. And
Oh
if you're
yeah.
with
Oh,
a creative, right, and you are, you know, you got everything happening, it's wonderful relationship, and then, you know, they're this flirtatious, charismatic personality type, which they're with you and they're with others, but obviously differently with others, but they're still flirtatious. You know, it's
right.
it's tell me, have you experienced that, Laurence? Tell me, I'm
Oh
sure you
yes.
have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I see you
Most
laughing
definitely.
there. You're thinking back.
Absolutely, no question about it though. That's as a creator, that's part of the excitement. If you are an entertainer, like say you do something where it's like you on stage,
Mhm.
you know, especially if you on stage, that right there is it's a part of the program. Anybody
Mhm.
get with you is like this is the part of the program. This is part of what I do. This is a part of my excitement of why I love doing it. You know, I love the reaction. You know, so if you know, so that type right there is like that can be your natural personality. That it draws people in, but that's part of your meal ticket. That's part of what makes you special, because you're able to perform, you're able to have that charisma, and light up a room. You walk into a room or whatever you're doing right there. You may be modeling, whatever. Somebody see you, I had locks. Nobody don't see it right now, but I had locks, and I used to try around the country doing hair shows, like natural hair shows. And besides being on stage as a performer, doing the natural hair shows, and just having all the women around just looking and just admiring you and being on stage, it's a beautiful thing. So, that's just part of the agenda. That's just part of what you do right there. But the person that you deal with definitely has to understand. And at the same time, the creative have to understand that it is what it is. That's part of your resume, things that you're doing though. But if that creative find that right type of person, it's got that creative got to understand what they have, for the creative at the same time. And also the person that you're dealing with has to be able to understand that right there. Understand that you're gonna have fans, you're gonna have different people coming at you all the time. And you may be flirtatious, on purpose or not on purpose, but as part of the program, but they have to be very comfortable in their skin and be confident what they do, because it can be very difficult when the jealousy comes into play.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with that. And I think that's something that really needs to be, you need to have a conversation around this. So if you know that
That's
that's who you are as a creative, and, and
yes,
your partner or spouse is sensitive to that, and you,
yeah,
as a creative, you can feel that, bring that up. Be the first one to really, I always say, bring that into your conversation. Sit down and have a conversation about it, because if you don't, it's only going to brew and brew and brew and fester until it just then blows up into something which, is not necessarily,
yeah,
doesn't need
yeah,
to be that way.
absolutely. And you know what happens too is besides that, then you get into, depends on how big you are as an artist. Then you get into play with the other people outside, because now, say for example, what record companies do, they'd be like, I don't want your wife on tour with you or something like that, or your girlfriend, whatever, whoever you're dealing with, because you want to make sure that you're available for the public and everything like that. So there's so many different variables that comes into play right there, though. But that's why that communication with your mate got to be well spoken and taken care of and expressed. At the beginning, you say, "This is what I do."
Mhm.
You was one of the people that was in the crowd, and you met me off based on what I was doing. And now you can't come to me like, well, I don't want you to perform anymore like that. No, that's how you met me. So it becomes very real after a certain amount of time, though. But I think both people have to be very confident what they have right there, especially the
Mm.
person who's dating.
Yeah, and I think, as well as communication, I'd say, building that trust, having
Yes,
that,
yes,
building that rapport, and showing, because it's not only talking about it, it's really demonstrating, being
yeah,
present, you know, um,
yes,
giving your other half you can't make them feel secure, but certainly your actions will, influence the way they react, right?
yeah,
Because
yes,
if they've
yes,
got that in them just naturally because of their own insecurities, well, then that's another whole nother story, right? And then they have to really deal with that. But when it comes into, coming into the life of a creative, I think that's, definitely very, very important. And Zanetta
absolutely.
also added to that. She says, creatives are misunderstood when expressing themselves as flirtatious. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that. And, but that's part. But that's part of the charisma, though. This is part of it, though. We're just such different creatures on this planet. It's
Yeah.
the way we exist, the way we carry our life, the way we live our lifestyle is different right there. And I think the quicker the person understands that it's not the same. It's like, for example, you may be dating a person who's a singer who travels around the country, who travels around the world. All around the world doing world tours and everything like that. And you working your 9 to 5, you're like, oh man, the person can feel bad though. But you just have to understand that that's just part of the agenda. That's part of what it is. And you go into
Mm,
the relationship understanding that, and it's making your decision. Do you want to deal with it? Because it all comes down to the decision that the person make right there for each party involved.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that because, it's it's something that I have experienced in the past, and it I'm sure a lot of people have, but and if it can't be cleared, it really, you might need help about it. The couples
Yeah.
they may
Yes.
really, because too, here we are talking about being in a relationship with a creative, and you may not be a creative, but if you are a creative and you're in
Right.
a relationship with another creative,
Right.
woo, what do we got there?
You got two
Convulsion.
creative. Oh, you'll be on tour? Okay, I'm gonna be on tour too. Okay, I see you around. You got to do the Jay and Beyonce do like the tour together. You got to figure it out. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's definitely a very interesting dynamic because you have two creatives. So hopefully you pick a creative that can kind of almost be like an opposite of a creative that you are. To kind of bring things back into play right there. Though, for example, you've got two creatives and no one's business minded, that's not good because now a lot of things can just go astray right there. Relationship with finances, everything like that. So a lot of things you have to look upon it. So if you get in a relationship with a creative, just really be honest and just check where you guys are at and see what things that needs to be strengthened. To make sure that you guys can exist. Because you can't be two broke artists. It's not gonna work.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like that, how you put that, Laurence, because you can be two creatives, but one has to be like, you can't be like at the same, that you're
Yes.
kind of challenging,
Yes.
not challenging, it's good to challenge, but in competition with each other, because
Right.
that's
Right.
when
Exactly.
things go haywire.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
have to be able to, take on board those principles of giving each other space, coming together, having
Yes.
that
Yes.
encouraging. And then,
Yes.
like you said, one has to be a little bit more, I wouldn't say submissive, but different. There's got to be just different levels.
Yes.
There's got to be
Yes.
different outlets of creativity. And like you said, financial, because, whenever we
Yes.
want the three main things, that are so drilled in our lives and are so important is relationships, financials, and our health. So all that
Yes.
comes into play. And if you've got
Yes.
two creatives that are not, very good with money,
Right. Yes.
uh,
And that definitely creates a problem.
yeah,
And then now, another interesting thing, for example, now say for example you got the creative who's creative, and then they have the person who's not a creative. Now, for example, it could be a man, and then with the woman, she can be like, she needs security, right? Now she wants security and all these different things, and the creative is not business minded. Then that creates a whole different type of situation, a whole different type of problem, or anything like that. Especially if they start having kids or anything like that. Now it becomes like it can feel like a little lopsided, everything like that. And that's one main reason why I got into coaching creative, become business minded, because I just felt that there was a big void of creatives not be able to express himself fully. And I think sometimes what happens to not express himself fully is not having that right platform right there to be able to do it right there. So now I think that they start to learn more business on their end, then they be better suited and prepared. So they have that relationship with that person. Now they can provide more stability to that person right there. But they got to start with themselves. And I think what happens a lot of times, these creatives now they can fall into the trap where it's like, you know what, I'm not being a creative no more. I'm just going to do something else totally different to satisfy the relationship, and then they're frustrated. It's only a matter of time before they implode and explode right there. So it's
mm,
very, very important, for that right
yeah,
there to be.
yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, I congratulate you. You're doing an amazing job. You provided a great service for all those creatives out there to not only be creative because they've already got that gift, they've already got that
Yes, yes,
talent, but you're
yes,
really introducing the business side of it because you've
yes,
definitely gone through it. You've gone from the
yes,
beginning and known
yes,
what it's like to be a creative, a starving
yes,
creative, let's say,
yes,
because that's
yes,
a lot of times, and that's what
yes,
gets drummed into creatives, unfortunately. Like,
yes,
you're a nobody until you become a somebody, and no one's going to know
yes,
you. No one knows your work. No one knows your
yes,
talent. And
yes,
they already get into that mindset,
yes,
of starvation, or they're not worthy, or they don't deserve to be, rewarded for their talent. So I think you're
Yes.
doing a great job. So for all those creatives that are out there and, want to venture into a business or emerge their creativity and create a
Yeah.
passionate business, Laurence, where can people get hold of you and maybe,
Yeah.
have a chat with
Yeah.
you?
Okay. Well, the thing about it is I create a few platforms. One platform is called Smashing the Starving Artist Syndrome because I feel that artists need something just to begin with that path of become more business oriented. So I have a program right there. The second program that I have is my major thing. I got a program that's called Business Creative Masterclass, and basically what it is, it merges business with creativity right there, and it's from my online university called Business Creatives University. And basically, you go to businesscreativesuniversity.com. They'd be able to go through there and get some free training. And
Mhm.
also RonSmerryLLC.com, which is all about business. And I have another website as far as like with creativity. But the whole thing is really just helping the creative to have some kind of platform to be able to start become more business minded right there. Because I think what happened when it comes down to is all about relationship. And no matter what
Yeah.
type of relationship you're in, you got to be able to provide on your end. And I think a lot of times what happens is that the great frustration comes in when you're in that relationship and feel like you're not able to provide a certain type of way to sustain that relationship or to make it stronger right there. So we have to look at the long term, especially if you find somebody that you really love and you really want to be with and say you want to marry or you are married, anything like that. You just need to be able to just step up on your business game. And the beautiful thing about it is that we have a superpower. And one thing that I found out is that once the creatives start to think business wise at the same time, as far as like business wise and creative, they'll start being creative with the business and they can go so far. That's why if you think business creativity, think about Steve Jobs. He's creative business. Think about Elon Musk. These are billionaires. Think about
Mm,
Tyler Perry, billionaires. Think about
right.
Jay-Z, billionaires. These are creatives who thought business. So what happened is that we have a very big superpower. Now, for example, once you start to have more of a discipline of being business with your creativity, guess what happens? Now, the person that you're dealing with, you start to bring that discipline and those different positive habits that you have into your household, into your home. So it can be with your kids, it can be
Relationship.
with your wife, it can be with your relationship.
Yeah.
Now, therefore, now you're bringing them a whole nother enlightenment. So therefore, I believe that even your relationship, that your partner could be a creative. Why? Because they so drawn to your creativity. Think about
Yeah.
it. They love
Mhm.
your creativity and they want to do with your creativity. So they might have been creativity, being a creative person themselves, which I think they are. They just haven't shown it or discovered that they have it right there. But the whole point is to solidify yourself with your creativity. At the same time, once you start to understand that and you build upon your creativity, now what's going to happen? You're going to build an area or a space to be able to stay creative within your relationship. Why? Because not only are you being creative for yourself and for the family, everything like that, you actually being creative and being business oriented for the whole family or the whole atmosphere or anybody who you're involved with right there. And it makes it
Right.
that much stronger. So I think that's a whole nother level right there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I think that if creators
Absolutely.
open up their mind to see that, and then once they start to do that, now the person that you're in a relationship with in your relationship would be like, wow, I see that you are changing. I see that you are trying to make this work right here on a whole nother level, and there's so many benefits because now you get to the part where it's like one person's working, one person's a creative and being entrepreneurial. And what happened now, you can merge that relationship together and you can merge those different things together. It can be very productive,
Mm.
because what happens when you have a business, there's a different thing. I'm not gonna get into like, tax liability, all things like that.
Exactly. But
But there's a
it
lot of advantages that you can have.
right. And also, it can obviously bring couples together and closer, because they're working together as a team as well. And
Yeah,
ideally that's what you
yeah,
want. So
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, great. So just the last comment we have here, I just quickly want to display that. Zanetta says there must be trust and mutual understanding and lots of conversation. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, 100%, 100% so true. You know what? And the thing about that right there is that now, I think what happens, you have to be more proactive, and the creator have to be more proactive in expressing themselves and just having a sort of agreement, And I think what happened is that it's like this right here. Try to break everything down.
Hang on,
Creatives.
hang on, hang on. We have
Creatives.
a message here. Listen, sorry, I can't keep up with the speed of his speech to understand what he's getting at. Slow down, Laurent.
I
Slow
definitely slow down.
down.
Okay.
He's
I
passionate. He's an
appreciate that.
artistic, passionate
Yeah, I appreciate that.
man.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna break it down like this right here. You have creatives, they're emotional, right? We agree with that. They're emotional. Business is non-emotional and it's rational. And what happened with creatives, creative, you have the space, you have the freedom, you have the outlet, everything like that. There's no boundary. Whereas like business can have some kind of boundary, to make everything work with the numbers, everything like that. So what happened is that once you start to become more disciplined, then you bring that into the relationship. And I think to make the relationship even more stronger right there, because now you bring in another perspective into the relationship, and that's what helps the relationship because now you're not just creative, you're creative and you're being business minded for the whole relationship in itself right there. And I think that really helps out because now that person, say for example, that person may be working the job or whatever, they're like, you know what? I feel that he or she are really trying to make this work because they give another perspective of how we can make this work. But at the same time, you're not only being creative, you're being smart about it, and you're able to work that relationship even better because now, as you get to relationship and they understand what you're doing, you see, you know what? I have to do this thing over here creatively. Oh, no problem. I got you. I understand because you're taking care of the business for our relationship and our family right there. And our brains a
Yeah,
little bit stronger. As opposed, you're laying at night saying, wow, I got to sell this painting. I got to get another gig. We short on rent, all these different
yeah.
things that may go through
Great.
mind. So sleepless nights, but you wanna be proactive to make those beautiful nights with your mate.
Right, right. And Zanetta wants some of your links. Put some links into the chat for us, Laurence. Maybe even
Yes,
afterwards
yes,
we can do that. And she also says his creativity is free flowing. Laugh out loud.
yes,
Yes, he is very much. You see his work, Zanetta. He's got amazing. You check out his website. You know, you could actually
yes,
buy Laurence's artwork from your
yes,
website. Can people reach
yes,
purchase your work? Yeah,
yes.
absolutely, absolutely. And
Not we can leave. uh, we can leave them different links
yeah,
to
so
the
you can go in
artwork.
and just pop them just under this the you can do it afterwards, so that way it goes on all platforms,
Okay.
and that way you
Yes,
can put all your website or your
yes,
artwork,
yes.
how
We'll do
people can
that.
reach
Do
you
that.
and whatever. Fantastic. Well, great, Laurence. This has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Actually, this is a short conversation, only an hour. Usually, when Laurence and I get together, we thought we had was that you got 10 minutes, and we talk for 10 minutes, which turns into 2 hours,
It
close to
literally.
three.
Yeah, yeah,
Literally, literally.
yes, yes,
So Zanetta says, um, that was Jack. Oh, Jack was requesting that. Sorry, Zanetta. My eyes,
yes.
I need my glasses. Thanks, Jack. Yes, Jack wants the website and everything. Fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
Yes,
So it's been great. Last final message you want to, kind of like tell
yes,
these creatives out there, or, you know, people that are
yes,
in love with a creative, how to deal with a creative, any message
yes,
that you want to say before we leave,
yes,
Grants?
yes. People who are in a relationship with a creative is they have to look at it from a whole nother perspective and appreciate the things that the creator gives them and understand that there's a different love language. It's called a creative love language. And understand that and try to find the creative love language of your mate that you're dealing with right there. And have these heart-to-heart conversations and just really try to understand them right there. You can make different suggestions, everything like that, but just really try to understand them, understand their angle that they're coming from right there. And that's very important. The second thing is for the creatives to understand that you are very special and you have a superpower, and a superpower
Mm.
that's within you that the world really needs to have right there. And I definitely always come from from a business standpoint, only because I've been through the path, I've suffered the silent artist syndrome. Have a lot of success, but it was all about inconsistency. And the thing about it, now that I have predictability and consistency in my life with my business relating to my creative, it helps in relationships. So I really want to employ the creators to really focus on their superpower, which is business and creativity mixed together. And understand that you're very special, and the person that you deal with will be lucky to have you.
That's right. Remember, you are very special, and don't forget.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Laurence. I'm so
Yes.
super grateful for having you on my show. It's been great. We'll get together and have more conversations down the road again to share with our audience, because there'll be updates and everything. So thank you once again. If anyone has any questions, any comments, please leave a comment down below, #live, #replay, and don't feel free to ask any questions. And if anyone, wants to, come on my show and talk about anything about relationships, I'm just open. Just, DM me and let me know. And yeah, what can I say? Oh, before I go, since we're talking about relationships, I am plugging my own book here. Grab yourself a copy. It's now in paperback. And I'm so proud to say Master the Language, because we're talking about languages of creatives, but this is Master the Language of Attraction. Okay. You men out there, grab yourself a copy, get it on Amazon. Okay. And also you can get it on, you can get it as an ebook. And I know a lot of women have bought this book, believe it or not, for their partners. So if you're a lady and you want to get this for your man, feel free to do so. All right. So thank you once again, Laurence. Thank you. And thank you to everyone. As always, I send you love, send you passion from my heart to yours. And we'll catch you in the next Let's Talk Relationship.
Yes.
Bye for now. And Zanette says, what does she say? Thank you. Alas, thank you, Stefania and Laurence. Thank you. Thank you, Jack, and everybody else, and Jim out there. Bye for now.
Yes.
Bye.